Now, there is a really interesting thing going on in the NBA right now that I just felt like I had to talk about. And look, I haven't made an NBA video in literally months now, so I'm kind of trying to dust off the cobwebs and get back all into it. But at the time making this video, I mean, my Cleveland Cavaliers are 8-0. When this video comes out, they'll probably lost the next 3 now. I've literally just jinxed them. That's my bad, Cavs. But they're 8-0, and I've just been so focused in on the NBA and excited for what I've been seeing. And one other team that has been doing outrageously good does happen to be the Golden State Warriors, who really stuck to their guns and signed a bunch of really quality role players like DeAnthony Melton and Buddy Hield. And I made a video previously in the year talking about how exciting I think those role players will be for the Warriors. But in saying all of that, they still were interested in some star power. They could have this amazing record going into, the end of the year. But as we know, teams with amazing records can sometimes still get bounced in the playoffs if the star power is not up to, what some other teams' star power certainly is. So in saying all that, it seems like the Warriors are still on a bit of a hunt, with a new report currently saying right now that one name to monitor for the Warriors is Jimmy Butler, the Miami Heat star who league sources say drew interest from the Warriors during the offseason per Athletic HQ. Rivals executives believe the Warriors are more willing than ever to include Jonathan Kuminga in a trade of significant magnitude. Now, there is a lot to really unpack here. Of course, Jonathan Kuminga has been moved to the bench at the time of making this video. He got moved to the bench after not exactly having the best play for the Warriors, but also in a situation where it's like, he's just one of those guys that unfortunately doesn't seem to fit in Steve Kerr's system and doesn't seem to fit alongside Draymond Green. It's just a really tough situation for him, where I feel like for him to take that next step, he might actually have to be traded to another team. And we know the Miami Heat, who are not having a bad year for any means, are a team that were a little bit hesitant on bringing back Jimmy Butler last season. I have a fly just in my video cock blocking my freaking 4K camera. This hurts my feelings. We know that there were a lot of reports by the Miami Heat last year that did say that they were actually looking to try and trade Jimmy Butler away to bring in a younger player that matches the timeline of Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. Now, before I go on any further, if any of you guys want to roast me because you think I say Miami Hate and not Miami Heat, look, it is what it is. I'm an Australian. That's my accent. I'm sure I would bully you if you guys said something crazy that sounded funny to me. So, fair game. But obviously, I'm all joking. There's something really interesting going on here that I think could genuinely happen. Of course, the Miami Heat have been very interested in a lot of stars over the times. The issue with them all is Miami are a franchise that doesn't typically overpay to bring in someone. Again, when there were rumors that the Cleveland Cavaliers could have been moving on Donovan Mitchell before he re-signed, we know a ton of teams wanted to trade for Donovan Mitchell. But one team who he wasn't going to go to was the Heat, because they were offering by far the worst deal, and they weren't offering a deal that was friendly to the Cavaliers at all. And that's just how Miami roll. They like to bring in players for a bargain. After all, they did the same thing with Jimmy Butler. They traded Josh Richardson in a sign and trade to bring in Jimmy Butler. I mean, is Josh Richardson even in the league anymore? I don't even know. But if those rumors were true and the Miami Heat might be looking to take a step back and move on Jimmy Butler for a young player and a pick and maybe even some contract swaps to try and, take that step backwards and just go a bit younger, develop by bringing in younger players like they always seem to do. They find guys out of nowhere and just do that. Then that may be the situation that happens. I think Jimmy Butler actually would be really, really good on the Warriors. I personally think, even though Wiggins hasn't been that bad, I think he's kind of like Wiggins, who we know can fit into Steve Kerr's game style, where it's a defensive mid-range player who I think Jimmy might have to shoot some more threes on the Warriors. I don't think he would really hate on it though. But I think that player could obviously fit in that team, and we could see a deal maybe get done. Now, would a straight swap deal of Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga for Jimmy Butler work? I don't think so. I'm assuming the Warriors would probably have to throw in a pick or two. But the thing is, if I'm right, Jimmy Butler only has 1 year left on his contract, and I think the Miami Heat are genuinely looking to take a step back and bring in a really good young player in Kuminga, who I think would develop so nicely in Eric Spoelstra's style, and Andrew Wiggins, a guy who's kind of like Jimmy Butler in terms of a defensive, two guard that obviously plays a three as well, just a wing in general, that we know can play under Eric Spoelstra. I think it's kind of a trade that's match made in heaven. The Warriors get to upgrade from Andrew Wiggins with Jimmy Butler, and then they bring in a team into the playoff series that could look like Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, Buddy Hield, who somehow turned into prime Klay Thompson, etc., which is starting to look like a genuine championship team. That team would be so scary, especially defensively. My God, imagine Jimmy Butler guarding you and then Draymond Green switches on you. That would make me want to do a backflip off the biggest bridge in Golden State, which I guess is the San Francisco Bridge, whatever that's called. The Golden Gate Bridge. I had to fact check that. Look, I'm not American. Again, don't rage at me in the comments. It's just how things are. But again, I think this trade could seriously get done. I don't think Wiggins and Kuminga for Butler would be a straight swap. That's probably not going to work, but I'm sure something could eventually happen, and this would be a pretty nice trade for both teams. I think this could almost solidify Warriors another championship, and that's just kind of crazy to think. And Miami get to build much better on long term. Again, that starting five of like Terry Rozier, Tyler Hero, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, and Bam Adebayo is actually still kind of a really good starting five, and is much better age demographically than what Jimmy Butler is. So yeah, I mean, I like that deal. Again, I'd very much like to hear all of your thoughts and opinions on this down below. Do you guys think the Golden State Warriors should try and trade for Jimmy Butler, or do you guys not? Do you guys think the Miami Heat should trade him away? I'd very much like to know all your thoughts and opinions down below. Subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRL/vlogging channels as well, which will be getting linked in the description down below too. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.